What's up, guys? We're back with a new video where I'm going to go over what I have optimized and changed in the build. I have added in Rain of Arrows. I was running Shout of Provocation, but it didn't quite seem to do enough of what I wanted to do. I was trying to get some more tankiness, but it just didn't do it. So I decided to add some more deeps in, and we are over 1,000,000 single target damage without even using the Rain of Arrows. So I've made some tweaks to my gear, my Zodiac trees, and some of my runes. So I'll be going over that and showing you how I'm just still deleting things. My damage has still been going up. With the Rain of Arrows, I pretty much only use it just to get rid of elites and rare mobs and use it on boss fights. So most of the time when I'm running through the rift, I'm just auto attacking and then using Rain of Arrows on maybe, yellow enemies or blues just to quickly clear them, so I can just spam it as fast as possible. So the tweaks that I've made to my gear are to help me with mana sustain, because mana's been a problem, and some more tankiness. I added in some elemental resist to pretty much as much gear as I can right now. I'm still optimizing. With the mana, it's been a lot better. I took some trees in the Zodiac to help with some sustain and mana dampening. There's a really cool tree I'm going to show you guys. So with the new updates, I'm doing more damage, mana sustain is better, and I'm tankier. So all in all, just way better. I'm loving it. Still just blasting through all the maps. It's been a lot of fun still. Still there's more optimizations I need to do. But so far, I'm really liking the spot I'm in right now. I'm almost at the T29 gear, and when I do that, and when I hit 90, I'm gonna still be swapping out some other things. I'm going to be going into crit damage and crit chance. So I'm excited for that too. But I wanted to do an updated guide for people who maybe aren't quite there yet and or still want to run this build on the way up in the living process. So I'm going to go over my gear, what I've optimized, and what I've changed in my runes, Zodiacs, all that stuff. So let's get into the gear real quick. I'll do the gear. I'm still running tip-ins. I think I was running that in the last video. I'm not sure, but it's just been so hard to replace. There's nothing that I can, it's going to take perfect rolls to be able to do anything with this. So that's still the same. But still with the base, what you want on a bow is percent attacks or percent speed, percent damage, and flat damage are the trifecta GG rolls. So if you get those three, even the first two are okay. So attack speed and attack percent damage, that'll be just fine. If you do happen to get flat damage on it too, just keep that. Just whatever else stats you get, it's fine. So with the helmet, I am running armor penetration to help with the damage and get through the armor. With hit rate, I would like to have some kind of mana regen on this. It has mana on kill, but still mana regen would probably be better. With 2 more resists, I said that I was going for a tankier route. I felt that resistances were definitely going to be necessary after I'm getting tired of getting one shot. So resistances are huge. So try to get that and mana regen on as many pieces as you can. I did find some 20% projectile shoulders with 50% physical damage. Huge lucky roll on that with some HP, a little more tankier with some resist. My chest piece, I was running HP percent increase, but I found this with 45% mana and 52% hit rate, and it has chaos resist, which is one of the hardest resists to get in the game. So on my gloves, I have percent damage against elites, which just helps blasting through yellows and blues and the boss fight at the end. With attack speed, hit rate, it doesn't have any resistances, which I'm still going to work on. It can still roll some more stats, so I'm still kind of optimizing that one. With my boots, I have movement speed, skill cooldown on the main ability, and then movement speed and projectile damage are the 2 other ones that you really want to look for. I was trying to be greedy and take some damage, but that extra movement speed is just, for kiting, it's too good. It's too good. You need to have movement speed on your boots if you're going to run this build, just to get you out of sketchy situations and be able to kite a little bit better, especially on bosses. The movement speed on bosses is amazing, and I do have a small projectile damage on this. I'm going to try to work on getting a better one of these with more movement speed possibly, and definitely more projectile damage. On the quiver, status effect I found is way better. It says that my damage has gone down, but I promise if you do this, your damage will go up. You will see higher numbers. So even if you equip it and it says your damage has gone down, as long as you have a decent roll on attack speed and status effect, you will see your damage go up. And this does have resistances as well, which is nice. Sucks that it got a couple of rolls on sentry, but I can get another stat on that. I just need more cubes to try to put another something in there. Hopefully not another sentry piece. This game has been trying to roll me sentry everything. I'm just, I think it's still the same necklace. It's got 44% physical damage with more physical damage. Stats, a little bit of lightning resist, some HP. So that's okay. I could use some more resistances. I would like to see 2 resistance rolls of something on every piece, but we're still optimizing. With the belt, I have a mana belt with HP and HP percent. And the big one on the belt is the mana potion cooldown recovery. That is so amazing. My mana potion cooldown is down to 7 seconds, which helps a lot with keeping up that mana sustain. That's been such a problem. And I'll show you some Zodiac trees after I finish with the gear here, but that is amazing. If you can get mana potion cooldown recovery on your belt, you will see a huge difference in your mana sustain. With the rings, it's still, pretty much the same. Physical damage, attack speed. This one has physical, attack speed, and projectile damage, which is nice. And it has 2 resistances, so we're in there. And a big mana roll, so I like that. With this, I just happen to get lucky with a huge projectile damage number. This has been I can't replace this even with a physical damage, attack speed. This doesn't have either, but it just does more damage than everything that I've tried to swap it out with. That projectile damage is crazy, but still with the rings you want physical damage and attack speed pretty much, with some resistances would be nice. So that's where we're at on gear right now. I'm still optimizing, and I'll go ahead and go over what I did with my runes. So this is pretty much the setup on the gear. I'm still optimizing and trying to find better things, but that's where we're at right now. So for the runes, I did add in Rain of Arrows, like I was talking about earlier, and I do have Elite Slayer on it, which is why I'm just deleting yellows, blues, and doing huge chunk damage to bosses. If you have 2 charges up, which it does default come with 2 charges, and you use both of them on a boss or an elite, they are vaporized. They're gone. And I found this Elite Slayer. It came in like a rare box from like a login event or something. So this has been awesome. I did connect it with my projectile deceleration, persistence. I found another one of those, and I connected it to my frost shock. And then when I put on Rain of Arrows, I just connected it right here on the side. I had some room with an attack damage increase. I was running Enduring Pain like I was talking about, but I have it turned off. I'm still not sure what I want to do with this. Just use it to level up something else, but don't pay any attention to this. I'm not using it anymore. It's just too much on mana sustain. Trying to have that up and steal at the same time, and just everything else, it's too much mana. So I'm not using it anymore. I swapped it out for Rain of Arrows. It's still a basic setup. I have my piercing arrow with quick attack, armor pen, attack damage increase, projectile deceleration, spell activation on hit for the frost shock, and persistence. I'm still using roll with use count and disarm. With this, I talked about it a bit in my last video. Why I'm running frost shock is because of the freeze on enemies. If you can freeze elites and things running at your face, it helps with your survivability quite a bit. So I still am running frost shock. I'm still loving it, and I have lingering chill, persistence, and status effect enhancement connected to that. With my defensive ability bulwark, I have increased duration, increased duration, time acceleration. My buff ability is still marksman, connected with time acceleration, enhance effect, and increased duration. I'm still running the seal of condensed destruction. I really want to try to get a seal of condensed elements. I'm not sure if I'll be able to run it with the mana sustain. We're going to play around with it. I'll see what happens when I switch my build when I hit 90. That's when I'm going to be going over to the crit damage build. So for now, I talked about it a bit in my last video as well. Some of these runes you'll have to get through synthesis, some of them through magic rune synthesis. But these, what is it, quick attack, attack damage increase, you'll be able to buy that, those two, and spell activation on hit. So you'll be able to get these three. This one you'll have to get through synthesis, and projectile deceleration and persistence you'll all have to get through synthesis. I am running increased level on all of my my rune stones. I have it on my piercing arrow, my frost shock, and my seal of condensed destruction. It doesn't have any good extra percent damage to things. You know, you see 11% hit rate when red rune is equipped. I don't have any of that optimized, but we're hoping to get lucky. So that's where we're at on skills. So for the Zodiac trees, I did make some pretty nice changes that I think will help a lot with a lot of mana sustain, more damage. Let's see, I start out pretty much the same. I didn't go all the way to the attack speed on the first one, but I did take it somewhere else. So I mean, you could take the attack speed on this if you wanted. And then in the second tree, I take the top row still with the damage. The third tree, I'm taking straight down the middle again. Fourth tree, this is where I took that extra attack speed and I went all the way to the end. I don't think I did last time. Maybe I did. But I was playing around with this tree trying to make use of more stats, but this is where we ended up. So I took both of the middle ones all the way back up. With 5, I took the dodge rate over to the physical damage again. So that's, you know, just more physical damage, a little bit of HP. So at 5, we're on 6. I took the top row and the middle row. 7, I took all the way over to damage against elites, and the bottom row again for the damage on miss. I know you can't really see it because of my camera, but we took the miss, and you do miss a little more often than you would probably think, so we're getting that buff all the time. With where do we go next? 8. This is where some of the new stuff has happened, but I'll show you that in a second. We still took the more damage when two-handed weapon is equipped all the way over. We went up, over, around. I took the physical damage. I had this extra node, but when you're leveling up, I used it because it was an extra stat, but for now, you probably could just go right down without taking this. And then specializations. This is where some of the new stuff has happened. I take the top row for the extra barrier, the 10% damage taken decrease upon deactivation of barrier. Very nice. We're still taking the strike damage amplification in the second part in the greed. It's pretty much exactly the same. I think it's actually exactly the same. Crit hit is disabled, so keep an eye on that your crit hit is disabled. With the amplification, it's just so much more damage than having crit on for now. So the amplification, like I talked about in my last video, is multiplicative damage. So take amplification over just flat damage like this every time. Over to this strike damage amplification. And then the third tree, that's when things get a little funky. And I know you're going to second guess it at first, but I have tested it and I promise you it is more damage. So we take the 15% damage in the middle. We come over to cut, all the way over to cut this time. I think I was playing around with something else at the time, but this is where I ended up. Cut. This is gives you more bleed and movement speed dampening on the enemy, so it slows them down and you're bleeding more. And then this is where the funkiness kind of happens. So we go down to take the poison node. So we go down here, and this right here gives you poison rate. So you're putting poison on enemies, and for every stack you're getting damage amplification for every poison effect on hit. And I've tested that and the one in the middle, and it is more damage. I didn't believe it at first. I was like, what's going on here? But I tried both of these, and I do get more damage from this. And that's the new funkiness there. And then with the mana thing I was talking about in the Zodiac tree, this over here is what I'm talking about. Mana cost 5% dampening. So it's costing less mana to use my skills, and it gives me more mana and mana regen. So with just these 5 nodes, I noticed a huge difference. It's been amazing. So the mana sustain's been a huge problem. I've been looking around in the trees trying to find something, and this is the one. I was like, oh, 5% dampening, that's all right. We tried it out, and it's been amazing. And then over here, I took damage against affected enemies, or enemies affected by dot. and debuffed enemies. And enemies are debuffed by our frost shock because it chills them, and that is a debuff. So I went all the way over to the middle node, 15% against enemies and damage against enemies affected by status effect, and then the debuffed enemies. I think that's all the trees. I had an extra one. You might actually need this to get into the other trees. I'm not sure. When I was leveling up, I think I took it afterward, but it could be before. So when you're going through the leveling process, if you're missing a node and you're like, oh, I'm not unlocking the next one, this could be it. It just took a 9% damage. So that's where we're at with the Zodiac tree. More damage from that weird poison node. More mana cost reduction to help with that sustain. And this has been the build that I've settled on before I go over to crit. So this Zodiac tree is not going to change. I'm just going to still optimize some of my gear, my items to get more resistances, mana regen, stuff like that. And that's pretty much where we're at for now. So I think that's it for the whole build, guys. I wanted to do an updated one before I switched over. Here it is. And let me know in the comments if this helped you at all. And if you have any questions, I do stream live on Twitch pretty much every day. So if you wanted to know anything else about the build, if I missed anything, if you needed any help with bosses or just pretty much whatever it is, it's always a good time, and I would love to hear from you guys. So I hope you enjoy the build, and until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your days. I love you long time, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.